Sometimes I have to turn the light out because it didn't work well with the lights on. All right, so we're going to cut the shapes horizontally. And so raise your hand if you can see two distinct shapes cut horizontally. Okay, good. Two distinct shapes. So we're going to cut this part right here. That just means we're going to draw a line. And so now we have two shapes. So if we were working with cubes, that means we would pop off this top part, find the volume for that top part, and then find the volume for the bottom part, add it together, hence additive volume, and that gives you your total volume. However, we have to look at adjacent lines in order for us to figure out some of these. Okay, so on this side over here, we have 8 millimeters when the figures were together, but we have broken them apart. Okay, so now we have to figure out what is this length and what is this length, because it's no longer 8. Does everybody understand that? We've broken it apart, so it's no longer 8. Well, adjacent lines can help us figure this out. So we have to use adjacent lines. So over here, we have 4 millimeters. That means this line is 4 millimeters, and this line is 4 millimeters. So this top part, the height is going to be 4 millimeters, and we know that 4 is half of 8, so that bottom half is also going to be 4 millimeters. Does that make sense to everyone? So all we did was use adjacent lines to help us figure that out. Okay? Same thing. Let me get a different color pen. We're going to do the same thing for the length and the width. All right, so we're working on the top figure. Now, this is 5 millimeters, the length, excuse me. This is 5 millimeters, and this is 5 millimeters. Okay, so now we have the length and we have the height, but we don't have the width, which is how thick it is. But we can easily find that using adjacent lines. So if this line right here is 4 millimeters, this line is, this line is, this line is, this line is, so that gives us 4 millimeters. So now we have the length, the width, and the height. Any questions so far? As long as you use those adjacent lines and you're able to figure that out, then you'll be able to get it. But it's finding those adjacent lines and making sure you understand that we have broken this figure apart. All right, so now let's figure out the volume for this top figure. All right, so for the length, what did we say the length was? 5 millimeters. Okay? And width, what did we say the width was? How thick it is? 4. And the height, how tall it is? 4. Okay? So now we have 5 times 4 is 20. And 20 times 4 is 80. So we have 80 millimeters for this top figure. 80 millimeters for the top figure. Well, we're not going to do cubic units because we're not working with these blocks anymore. We're working with millimeters.
Would it be millimeters cubed though?
Yeah.
So do they need to put the little?
They're going to have to put the 3 there.
Yeah.
Once they get to their complete answer. Okay? All right, now, so let's move down to the bottom figure. The bottom figure is simple. It's already there for us. We really don't have to worry about finding any more adjacent lines because we can see that our length is 6. Our width is 4. and our height is 4. Okay? 6 times 4 is 24. And 24 times 4 is 96. Okay, so we have 96 millimeters for the bottom figure. Now we're going to reattach them in our minds and add them together. So we have 80 millimeters plus 96 millimeters, which is 176 millimeters cubed. Okay, 176 millimeters cubed. Okay, are there any questions about that? All right, let's move over to the next one. All right, we're going to cut this one the same. Horizontally. So now we have this top figure and the bottom figure. Okay, so let's work with the top figure first. So using adjacent lines, we can figure out what the length is. This is how long it is, which is 3 meters. Okay, and now we want to find out what the height is, how tall it is right here. Okay, so before we popped it apart, this entire side was 4 meters. But we took off that small little top part, okay? Now, let's look at adjacent sides. So if this side right here is 3 meters, then this side is, and this side is. So this is no longer 4. This side at the bottom is 3. And so the side at the top is 1, because 3 plus 1 is 4, which is that entire side. If you have questions, say something. Okay, everybody got it? Okay. All right, so now we have the height as 1. So we have length. We have our height. But we need to figure out what our width is. How thick this is. Now, what do you think we have to do here to figure out how thick it is? What have we been using, Raylan? I said if we don't know exactly how thick it is, we can use adjacent sides. Yes, we can use adjacent sides. That right there is going to be the key for you to figure it out. You've got to use those adjacent sides. All right, does everybody understand that? You got it? What are we going to use to figure out the width? If it's not already there for us. Sometimes it's going to already be there for you, and so you're not going to have to worry about adjacent sides. But if you can't just figure out how thick it is, then that means you're going to have to find some lines somewhere to figure out how thick it is. Now, so this line right here is 10. So then that means this line is going to be 10. And this line is going to be 10, which gives me my width for that top shape. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Yes? Miley?
Why wouldn't it be that one on the top?
What you mean, why wouldn't it be the one on the top?
Like, I thought it would be,
It is. She just didn't put the pin on that line, but those are all adjacent.
Oh yeah, they're all adjacent
They
lines.
are.
I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
this is 10, this is 10, this is 10, this is 10, this is 10. All those are going to be adjacent lines. They're going to be the same. Okay? All right, so now we have our width, how thick it is. So that's 3 times 10 times 1. 3 times 10 is
30.
30, and 30 times 1 is 30. So we have 30 meters for the top one. That's the volume for the top figure. That's the volume for the top figure. Okay? Now, we don't have to worry about adjacent lines for this bottom figure because we've already figured all of that out. Okay? So we know that the length right here is 5. We know that the width is 10. And we know that the height is 3. Okay? So 5 times 10 is
50.
and 50 times 3 is
150.
150, yes. Okay, so 150 meters. So that's what we have for the bottom figure. Okay, so now we have to add them. 30 meters plus 150 meters is 180 meters cubed. 180 meters cubed. Questions? Does she seem to kind of get a little bit? Okay. So as long as we
Do you know how
can
to write
see and
cube?
visualize the two separate parts
What do you do?
and find those adjacent lines, then we should be okay. But it's just a part of sometimes having to break these numbers apart. Okay? Because see, sometimes they don't want to break it apart. They'll use that 4 for each one of them. And they have to understand that it's not a whole anymore. Just like we did with the other one. We had to break it apart so there are 2. So make sure they understand that. All right, so no questions. How many of you think you can do it? All right, so we have 1 here, and I want everybody to try to do this one. I'm going to put it up here, and I'm going to show you where to cut it. We're going to do horizontal again. So we're going to cut it right here. And I'm just going to walk around and see. Don't panic or anything like that. I just want to see what we're doing. Remember, find the volume for that top figure first. Use adjacent lines to help you.